This is a Rain World Challenge run. Specifically, it's Inv No Egg. I have a mod that removes the egg you get every cycle, and I'm not allowed to pick up any of the Singularity Bombs that are produced otherwise. As a result of this challenge, to ascend you need to get max karma. Normally you can skip the Guardians by killing them with the egg. In the description there is a link to the full unedited playthrough of this challenge. Here I'm building an escape ladder just in case the red centipede does not go through the water. Here I try to get the attention of this red centipede as it is blocking my way. I can juke it through the water later because they hate water. They're not good at water. They suck at this game more than I. Spiders here. Spiders are free food. They are not very good at attacking. On the other hand, spitter spiders are pretty good at attacking, but if there's only one, you can kill them before you get paralyzed. Usually. Remember to give your monster kelp spiders as food. It deserves a nice little treat. Now it's time to try to get to the first shelter. Uh, I'm mostly just gonna eat bat flies. I don't want to risk my very first cycle. The red centipedes are a pain to get past on the first cycle. As in, Shaded Citadel is a nice little introductory region. It's not too hard, with the main threats being small amounts of lizards and spitter spiders. The spiders made its way into my den. Unfortunately for it, I have a rock, and I can also bite it to death, so it has failed at life. Throughout this video, I'll include clips of times that I've died. I will
Goodbye,
not include the
gamer.
full leading up to the times I died, as that's probably boring. Black lizards are easily S tier lizards. They're amazing. They're my favorite lizard. Then yellow lizards, and then cyan lizards. I also suggest adding the threat meter in the remix options, as it really helps with Shaded Citadel knowing if there's enemies in the room. And also, it's somewhat helpful later when it really spikes because of the hard enemies. Shaded Citadel's best food source is lantern mice. They are quite plentiful, and you can maul them. Unfortunately for me, they also decrease your all reputation by quite a bit, making it hard to befriend scavengers, or later on in Chimney Canopy, lizards. Not that early on, I really want to befriend scavengers. Light is more important than life. And also, scavengers are pretty good fit, I guess. This scavenger merchant is a pretty good way of increasing your reputation with scavengers, which you want to do because you'll be killing them, and you want your reputation to not be abysmal. Also, having high scavenger reputation in as Inv is really good because Inv usually has a ton of scavengers, and they are great cannon fodder. You can stand near them, and chances are you won't be killed by things other than scavengers missing their target and hitting you instead. I have reached max karma. It is now time to see Shaded Citadel's Echo. I only ever seen Shaded Citadel's Echo in the Inv campaign. I have no name. Wow, it's true. Get blinded, idiot. Now the goal is to get to Industrial Complex safely. Industrial Complex connects to Chimney Canopy, which is where the second echo we get is. It also is the first time I had a significant skill issue. The rest of the time it was no significant skill issue. I got distracted with the black lizard here for longer than I want to admit. I will edit that out for you. This is certain doom. I just got stunned by a spitter spider and it's right next to me. I'm gonna get eaten very soon. That spitter spider just decided that today was not the day. Not entirely sure why, but I respect it. Not enough to not kill it, though. Industrial Complex has train lizards as its gimmick. They aren't too difficult. Well, they're extremely difficult to kill, but they're not too difficult to avoid. In tight spaces, they suck. In open rooms, they will kill you immediately, without hesitation. Death montage!
Gamer.
Rest in peace.
Good night, gamer.
That cyan lizard's just vibing. I feel a little bad for attacking it, but I need the food. I need food. I need to eat 700 calories a day. an industrial complex and outskirts, aka we've got to render this one. Sorry. The main food source I found was cyan lizards. They are one of the easiest lizards to kill, at least out of the pool that are in the Inv campaign. Here I decided that cyan lizard is vibing too much and will be spared. He's just having a good time. Nope, he bit me. He bit me. He's dead. He's dying. He does not deserve forgiveness. For some reason, the train lizards in this room particularly get stuck in a cycle. A cycle. And move in a repeating pattern where they go through a whack-a-mole hole, appear at the top, and then fall down. Here I was trying to familiarize myself with the pattern to see when's the best time to strike. Figuratively, I am not going to attack it. It is far too powerful. I actually did try to attack it and I died. In a different cycle. We are heading to Chimney Canopy! It's time for massive skill issues. Chimney Canopy's gimmick is you cannot move without a yeek in every room you spawn with a yeek. Well, you can move without a yeek, but it's painful. Uh, my goal was to maximize Lizard reputation in Chimney Canopy to make movement easier. This was extremely hard. I eventually did manage to maximize Lizard reputation, though. It made progression so much easier in Chimney Canopy. Or, it should be called Chimney Yeek Canopy. They missed that opportunity. Death Montage Part 3! The longest one so far!
Rest in peace by Gamer.
Good night. Game over.
Game.
Good night. Game. Goodbye. Gamer. Goodbye. Gamer. Game.
The lizard just ignored my offerings.
Game.
Game over.
Game over. Game.
First shelter. Yippee.
Game over. Gamer.
Made it to another shelter. It's just the same way back and forth. Lizard taming montage. We friend. Good night. Spitter spiders are just stupid, it seems. The next few minutes of footage are sped up, and are just me karma farming to reach the Echo, which is made 1,000 times easier, when lizards aren't out to get you. Also, all this effort to increase my lizard reputation is only useful for Chimney Canopy because local reputation is the highest one. I'll still be targeted outside of Chimney Canopy. And two, I'll be killing many more lizards for food outside of Chimney Canopy. And that cyan lizard, apparently. I'm not sure why I killed that cyan lizard. That's a little silly. I'm pretty sure Chimney Canopy has the highest density of red lizards, which means that high lizard reputation is very important for this area. It is almost required. By the time this goes up, I've already completed the Inv campaign. It was really difficult. You can look at the raw footage in the description. It's 17 hours long though, so I would suggest against it in general. Uh, However, I will release more edited um, episodes of the full run soon. In the comments, let me know if someone else has already done this. As far as I know, I'm the first one to do it. But I could be wrong. I checked YouTube for a playthrough, and that's it. There's a few people that have beaten Inv with the egg, but I've found no one that's beaten it without egg. I've already got a few videos planned after I finish this series for a possible attempt for Hunter 1 cycle, like my Saint 1 cycle, and also potentially a Gourmand 1 cycle. They are both maybe possible. As Gourmand, you can see 5 pebbles without increasing your karma, and that will increase your karma. So you might be able to do it in 1 cycle. As Hunter, you start with higher karma, and once you sleep once to start cycle 1, you can then head to the wall and subsequently 5 pebbles, and from there you get the karma needed to see the echoes. And also from Sky Islands you can go to Pipe Yard, then Subterranean, so I am pretty confident that Hunter 1 cycle is possible. Here's a fun thing. I did actually go to Sky Islands this run. You can only see it in the unedited raw footage because I only went there a few times and never sheltered. It did not progress the game at all.
Goodbye, gamer.
If you made it this far, you're obligated to like and or subscribe. Like if you like the video, subscribe if you think that you will like future videos that are like this. Challenge runs for the foreseeable future only Rain World, but eventually other games. I brought these yeeks to attempt to tame a train lizard. I never got to it. Uh-oh. That's a no good. That's a really not good. My apologies for potentially bad editing quality. This is the second video I've edited. Hopefully it's getting better. I cannot be sure though. This pearl is important. Quite a long time in the future, at least for me, it was multiple hours. It'll be used to trade in outskirts at the scavenger toll to move forward. Um, for your viewing pleasure, the multiple hours has been condensed into under 10 minutes, I believe. Who knows how I survived that? I sure don't. Outskirts gimmick is quite easy to see. They forgot to render it, uh, which in general doesn't make it harder. Um, Mostly it's just the spawns that make it harder, but sometimes it's really hard to see where you're moving, to see what's background or foreground, because everything is flat. Most of the spawns are red centipedes and red lizards, and I'll die on this hill, but red lizards are harder than red centipedes, except as Inv or Monk. Um, because as Inv or Monk, it's super hard to deplete them. You only have a 1 in 3 chance to deplete each red centipede plate. Normally, it's quite easy to just stun lock a red centipede or to just stab it a few times because they're cowards. Cowards, I say. I didn't include this part of the recording, but I obtained a child.
Game over. Game over. Rest in peace. Game.
Goodbye. Game.
Game. Good night. Rest. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Rest.
This is what I mean when I say cyan lizards are a pretty easy enemy. Look, even a child can do it. Literally, that slug pup is doing it. Also, strawberry lizards suck. They are pretty high HP and high mobility. They have a high chance of killing you. They're not the hardest in the world, but they also give you basically no food. I hate them. They look cool, though.
Rest in.
Inv at combat is basically just a better monk at combat. You stab things for monk damage, which is terrible. But you can also maul them, which for some enemies, the best way to deal with them is to throw a spear at them, maul them, pick up the spear, and repeat. Also, the best way to deal with large enemies is to sacrifice a child. Like this! Children explode in the Inv campaign. They're also somewhat rare, but that's just a normal thing. What? "2 hours worth of dying and karma farming later." Also, I did indeed sacrifice the other child. Dropwig Alley is one of the least buffed areas in the Inv campaign. It's because it's always a cycle failure. There are 2 salamanders, and that's all the buffs. It's really not too difficult, as the Dropwigs and salamanders will usually just fight to the death. Usually, one of the salamanders will die, or none of them, and a couple of Dropwigs will die, which is the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is what happens later in the cycles, which is red centipedes go out from their starting areas and are a menace to society. Red lizards don't care. They always leave. They don't wait for the rain to stop. In case you haven't realized yet, I'm on the trek to Farm Arrays, because Sky Islands, all of the shelters in Sky Islands, are really hard to leave. They're almost all covered in rot. And also because Outskirts leads almost directly to the Echo. Red centipedes often fail during the pre-cycle rain, as they're so long that they will almost always be directly affected by the rain, even if only a few segments are being hit at a time. If anyone else attempts this run, I beg of you, do not make the same mistakes I did. In Farm Arrays, I came to the realization that you need more than Karma 5 to get the Echo. However, I thought that you needed absolutely max Karma. And later on, I figured out that you only needed close to max Karma. And this led me to being stuck there for a while before coming back to here. It wasted a few hours. The largest mistake I made in this entire run, though, was going to Subterranean through Shoreline instead of going to Subterranean through Farm Arrays. Even though Farm Arrays is absolutely terrible, it is tolerable with a Geoduck. And Subterranean simply is not tolerable. Also, the time that I got from the Shoreline shelter to the train car shelter, that one recording is the only recording that didn't record. That recording failed. Also, does the game play fair? No, especially not as Inv. You don't need to play fair either. Go across the world and stock up spears before fighting a hard enemy. Pipe juke enemies and spear them. Go to a scavenger treasury and stockpile on explosives before fighting enemies. These are all valid methods, and they're not honorable, but the game's not being honorable either, is it? For red lizards, pipe juking is especially valuable because they'll almost always follow you through. So it's not good for escaping, but it's very good for killing them. For red centipedes, on the other hand, they very rarely follow you through, and what you want to do is stock up on spears and hit them as many times as you need to deplete them, and then stun lock them until they die. One of the main tips I have for anyone attempting this is when karma farming, find 2 shelters with little enemies between them but a good amount of food. You have to ping pong between shelters because of shelter failures. Although some shelters, I'm not sure why, some shelters do not fail. Anyway, the second best tip is kill scavengers for food, but also give scavengers gifts at the same time because you do not want low scavenger reputation, but you also need a ton of food. Also, never go to the exterior. Do not go to the exterior ever. The exterior is evil. It doesn't deserve to exist. As Inv, as other characters, you're mostly fine. If you're gonna play base game Inv without the no egg challenge, my advice to you is go to Shoreline first, then go to Subterranean, then farm Singularity Bombs by surviving multiple cycles, and then just kill the Guardians in the depths. You only need to visit 3 regions. It is quite easy. And to farm arrays. Next episode will include farm arrays and also outskirts again. It also will probably include me passaging to Shaded Citadel.